Welcome to Social Sessions. Today we are joined with LG McQueen and Toni Sheriff, who have studied for many years on what we would call spiritualism, to only find that it brings us back to ourselves. Both have had amazing journeys, many teachers, shamans and gurus along the way, but both have found time and time again that it leads back to source, and that source is you. Listen in as we delve into the dynamics of the spiritual element and talk about different topics that this brings up, but how this can only be fixed by coming back to self, the divine consciousness which is you, which is everyone. The route to all healing is by us, through us, by realising that this is not us, will in turn reveal our divine essence, returning us to our heart and the peace, joy and the oneness that lies within. Welcome to Social Sessions. So today I'm joined with Toni Sheriff and LG McQueen, and we're going to be delving into spirituality and what that is. So Toni, do you want to tell us a wee bit about yourself and just a wee bit of history about yourself?
Aye. Hate this bit. Where do we start? So I at the moment am a youth counsellor in high school. But background for 12 years before that was hairdressing. Just kind of went into something because I was told I couldn't go and do counselling. You don't do that as a young person.
Aye.
You do that with life experience. So went down that route. Got myself into a bit of bother because I had this need to please and searching for recognition.
Aye.
So after qualifying, jumped straight into opening a salon by myself at 20. I actually think I might have been 19. In the middle of town. So got myself into loads of debt. Really bad place mentally, but didn't realise I was in it at the time. And wasn't really until my gran passed away in 2017 that the spiritual stuff came in, if you like.
Aye.
And when I say that, I mean wanting to connect with her, delving into like mediumship and tarot cards and all that kind of stuff, seeking again this connection, that I realised how bad a place I was in. So that stuff kind of opened up mental health for me. And it was probably more taking that time. At that time it was meditating, so sitting with myself and realising, oh, do you know what, I'm a bit fucked up here, what's going on? And only 8 months after her passing, I just decided one day to shut the salon, close it all down, and went into studying counselling. And from there, if I'm being honest, everything has just flowed. Like I've not went seeking any of the stuff I'm doing. It's just all kind of fell into place. And I'm now here. Don't really know what I'm doing these days. I'm still in the school, in the high school, but there's a lot of other stuff going on, a lot of learning, and my beliefs have completely changed, which is why this will be very interesting today. But I would say that it was tapping into that spirituality that changed my life over maybe like the past 5 or 6 years. So I think that's it really.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for that, Toni. Well, obviously we'll delve into it a lot more, but what about yourself, Laura? Jane, you got a wee bit of kind of background on yourself?
I need to try harder on you to remember because I'm old on you. How did I get into all this stuff? So 2013, I had my own mental breakdown. Left my husband, kind of my whole life just fell apart. And then done the usual, went to the doctors, tried to get help there, ended up with a psychologist for, I think it was about 18 months. And started to realise, like, I'm not going anywhere. It's like every week I would meet and then I would come out and I would just sit in the car and just feel as shit as I felt when I went in. And I never felt any difference where I was going. So I was like, I'm going to find a way myself. Kind of came across like a life coach, then kind of learned to do stuff like that myself. I would never say that I was a life coach. I don't like that word coach. I'm deeper than that. I've always been a very, very deep person. So for me, like the surface, like I need to scratch, like what's under the surface? Like why is that? Like let's scratch under there. So it kind of took me on to like kind of body somatic stuff, like diving in.
Mm-hmm.
I could never meditate. I used to sit there and go like, let's meditate, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm fucking bored. So I'm like, there must be a different way. So it was let's go in. And then it was just going inside myself and then realising, as Toni says, like, I'm fucked up. Like, well, I knew that in 2013. I mean, there was suicide and all that, like wanted to end it, didn't want to be here. And I had 3 young kids, so it was big. It was a big moment in my life like that, like just catalyst to break me out of that shell. And then, God, I've done everything. I have done it. I have really been a certificate collector. The ego was fed. I remember one day sitting and they were all on the wall and I'm like, oh my God, it's my ego. So they all get burnt. And just realising, you said we're here to talk about what spirituality is. I think we're here to talk about what it's not. Because there's so much bullshit out there that it's so loud and people get confused, and it really is quite simple.
Aye. No, well, that's obviously what we're going to try and break down, and obviously what I'm quite hopeful that you guys can do is me as a kind of layman. I'm going to kind of just speak the way some people would maybe ask questions and talk and maybe see what's their version of spirituality, even myself, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously the work you guys have done, you are more than experienced enough to kind of come in and tell me, who's no done that kind of work and maybe read a couple of books and think to know what I may be thinking or where my kind of thought process is going. So the first kind of thing I would maybe ask you is, so I know that we all call it, I used to call myself agnostic because I just believed in something but I didn't know what it was. I believe in source now. I think that's what like you guys would call it as well, and that's what I would call it. So I'll just kind of ask you even just both, what would you guys say is source? I know it's everything, but how would you guys describe it? Is there any way you could describe it? Or
Do you want a harder question?
Are we not supposed to? I know. Are we not supposed to know? Are we not supposed to be able to kind of describe it? Or
I'll let you
You're
take
going to
that
leave me
one.
with this one.
Aye.
Right, so it's hard to explain the energy of it. So it's like a feeling, but it's like everything and nothing in the one feeling. Like it's just, we'll never, even now here when I'm doing work, it's like it just comes in now and again, and it's like and then it's gone. Like we don't live in that state, not yet.
Aye.
Like, I've still got a lot of work to do as well, so not yet. I know it is achievable though, but we're a long way away from that.
Yeah.
But the moments that I've had it, it's like, it's just, and I'm going to say it's like a love feeling, but humans don't know love. So even people like, love hurts, love this. It's hard to explain. It's like everything and nothing in the one moment.
I know. It is a paradox, isn't it? It's like...
I just call it is.
Aye.
It just is.
Aye, it just is.
Yeah.
And what would you say? Would you kind of agree with that, Toni? Or
Kind
would
of the same, those small moments. I think for me, when I'm describing it to people, it's just like a peacefulness, like that nothing.
Yeah.
But obviously we don't experience love like that, so everything in you's going, oh no, it's no love, it just feels peace. But when you're in it and you're feeling it, you know that is love.
Aye.
Just not the love we know.
What I would say, like, obviously, I went through a wee period. I was in Castle Huntly, and I went through a wee period of just kind of sitting myself doing inner work. And it's the best I've ever felt. I felt there. I felt like it was like 4 weeks or something. I felt absolutely amazing. Like I was, like I was just working on like different things, even manifesting and stuff like that. Things were working that I was kind of just looking into doing, and it was like, I can't describe the feeling, but I was just on a different vibration. And I think trying to break down layers when you go to like, to me, like Jesus and the Buddha and people like that did transcend and stuff like that, or if they did, whatever, but that's my beliefs. I think it's very easy for, as we say, their work to get stolen and maybe manipulated for control or whatever. I don't know what you would think about that kind of stuff, like how that's maybe used in a way to kind of control the masses.
I've got this. You want to go with this one? 2 words that you said, manifestation and transcending, instantly tapped up for me there. So manifestation We're doing it every single day of our life. Even the shit stuff that happens in our life, we manifested that.
Yeah.
And there's this false path out there of, oh, if you stand up on the trampoline, get your energy up, and imagine you're going to get a BMW, it'll appear at your door. It's all crap. It's all crap. Every single thing we are creators.
Mm-hmm.
We are creators, and everything in our life that's happened to this point, we have created.
Yeah.
Maybe through influence. There's other influences that make us create the negative side. But that's a lot deeper story we're not going into. And the transcendence. So this whole belief that we have to transcend somewhere is that we're chasing this. We're chasing the godliness. We're chasing the connection. We're chasing the light, if you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go to the light. The light comes to us.
Yes.
And not anywhere will you read that in a book or anybody tell you that, because there's this, it's almost like they distorted the truth a bit to make us chase.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to try really hard to get to there. We're already it.
Yes.
We're already all of it. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that people fail to see. That's why it's so simple. Mm-hmm. All we need to do is get rid of our bullshit.
Aye.
It's simple, but it's a lot harder.
No,
to
I
get rid of the
understand
bullshit.
that. No, I understand.
Aye.
What would you say to that? Would you kind of similar to that, Toni?
I think it's the same. Like when you're seeking all this other stuff, even when you were saying about it, like making you feel good, and if we go into meditation, that's probably the big thing that a lot of people are doing right now, and how I started as well. I was teaching it at one point. But people are meditating to avoid feeling the way that they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're stressed out, you're angry, I need to go and calm myself down, I'm going to go and meditate. You're not feeling any of that anger or frustration or agitation. You're basically just breathing it away.
So you're not processing, you're just kind of...
So you're
There's a
avoiding
cope
it.
mechanism in it, and cope mechanisms are like a barrier that shield you from what's inside and what's outside.
Yeah.
So obviously, like with my kind of history and stuff like in my past, there was like a lot of in prison. I found that guys did have, well, I don't know what it would be. Like maybe you could tell us, but like the only people that I've ever seen change were guys that maybe had a spiritual awakening, and it was through going to like fellowships and stuff like that. To me, it's just because they're connecting with the correct source, but then they're identifying it as something when they don't really need to do that. But that's only my view on that. Do you know what I mean? I know other people would say differently, and I think if you find peace in any way, I think go for it, man. Like I'm totally cool with you, like whatever way you find peace. But you do see a lot of these guys tripping at some point, I think, because as they've not really found what as we've spoken about before. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, it just becomes another mask for them to wear, doesn't it? It's like they're in this thing and they think it's real, and that's why they trip, because it's not real.
Yeah.
Aye. And it's trying to explain to somebody, look, you're doing so well now, but you don't actually need that. The teachings and stuff are just basically there. Because I don't know how you believe. There is a lot of scripture and stuff I've read that is really good and really positive, especially Jesus. Do you know what I mean? I think Jesus is...
But how is that Jesus' words?
I know. You don't even know that, do you, really?
No.
I know. It's weird, isn't it? Because you just go...
It's a belief system.
It is a
Aye.
belief system.
And there is a reason why lie is in the middle of the word belief.
Aye.
Because there's the belief. Do you believe you're a man, or do you know?
Aye.
That's the difference.
And I know what you mean. Aye.
So if it's a belief, I believe this, because beliefs can change. Look, I've been through everything. I've done Reiki stuff, I've done shamanic training, I've done, God, you name it, that I've done it, and they're all just belief systems. So even all that old scripture and old stuff, it's like, it's what once was.
Yeah.
There's no newness in it. Like, where's the new? Because we're trying to bring, and it's quite big now, like the whole plant medicine community and all this spirituality, if you want to, God, I hate that word, but we'll use it. It's like they're bringing the old ways here. Well, the old
Alchemy
ways
and
back
stuff.
then,
Aye.
and it was perfect then when the earth was at that vibration, but now we're completely shifted. Like, why are we going back to old ways? Who told them that? Where did that come from? Did that come from source, or did it come from somewhere else? How do we know?
Aye.
So there's a lot of, like, if I like to just see my whole life as like light and dark. What's light feels light and nice and easy. What's dark is, it takes a lot of work.
Aye.
Because even if you work hard, you'll still never be good enough for the dark.
No, and it's like, I think we can maybe go in and talk about ego now. And I think ego is a kind of huge driver of it's like
It's a bad rap.
I know poor ego, but I mean obviously it's one of the things that can be but your ego, if fed the right way in any way, do you know what I mean, can make you do crazy things on both sides. Like I don't know what you think about like what ego is and how. Obviously, I'm looking at it from a psychology. I've read Carl Jung, stuff like that, and the way he describes it and stuff. Again, is ego a part of you? Is it a part of you that you should let get fed, or is it something that you should try and kind of avoid at all costs? What would you think about that?
I've struggled with that, to be honest. Like, we've obviously spoke about this when I've had sessions with you. Like, I said it at the beginning there, my whole thing was I was very ego driven. And now that I do this kind of stuff, there's still a part of me that's scared to do certain things in case I end up being completely in my ego. So I'll stop myself half the time, don't I, from doing things that LJ would probably say I go and do that, but I'm like, oh no, because that might lead to going down that wrong path, and I don't want to do that. So personally, I don't think I can comment, because I'm still like, oh, I don't know what this is for me, because my beliefs around it have changed so much.
I would be similar to you, Toni. I know that I've got an ego, and I know that I'm quite easily influenced by it, but
just filtering through all the
I know
to find the right bit for it to bring through here.
And when we've done work, LJ, it's partly it's been about dropping that ego and stuff, and obviously.
So ego is very important, because without ego, you wouldn't be Sean and I wouldn't be LJ. Toni wouldn't be Toni.
Yeah.
We need that. It's what gives us the illusion of separation, so that we can have this experience. And we can learn the lessons that we need to learn. You mentioned like going down that wrong path. There is no wrong path, because even if you go down the path that looks wrong, there was vital lessons in that for you, because then you learn more about yourself. So the ego, wait a minute, there's something coming through. Right, so kind of the way I like to look at ego is, and I've explained this before in kind of shadow work courses that I used to do way back, is like you've got this big corporation, a big building, right? You've got the CEO who's got the penthouse suite, and then you've got the mailman. The mailman is the ego, and he knows how to do letters and pass on information, and he walks through the building and does all that work. But it's like he's just been given a promotion to be the CEO, but he only knows how to do mailman things. So when we let our ego take over, it doesn't understand. It doesn't get it. The ego's job is to, yes, give us that illusion of separation, but also to help us decipher the messages that are coming through our heart anyway. So your heart, and this is what Jesus was trying to teach, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, is like everything comes from here. Your heart is the universal, it's multidimensional. It has every answer that you're looking for. It's already within you, and this is where people are on this path and they're searching for this, and they're meditating for 15 hours, and they're doing, and it's like, just come back to here. Just feel your shit. The minute you feel your shit, that, let's call it darker emotion, the heavier emotions start to come out, and then the wisdom that you already have in your body starts to get a chance to come up, and then you know your answers. But everybody's looking outside themselves for the answers.
So, see, like, if you were to try and how like even just a couple of wee techniques, see some like maybe people watching this that would maybe want to try and attempt to even try and just look at what would be a couple of kind of simple tools just to kind of start beginning to look into yourself and start to kind of challenge that darker side. Is there anything you can kind of come up with, like just simple methods, or
I don't think you would challenge it, because then if you challenge it, you're creating a resistance. But if it's something, you just need to let it be there, because the minute you're trying to push something away, it's a resistance. You just say, oh, all right, be there, whatever. But I think for me, it's just sit, feel. It takes awareness though, because your coping mechanisms will all come up. So see if something happens, like somebody dies, every coping mechanism, your body's got shock in it instantly. So every coping mechanism you've ever got in your body, and there's thousands there that we don't know about, will actually override. You have nothing to say about this. They'll override and come in, and before you know it, you're away running, doing 1,000 things, or busy, and you don't even realise that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not feeling, because you're everything's took over.
Aye.
So it's hard.
I know.
It is kind of hard. For me, I kind of just started with like taking away distraction. Taking away distraction of friends, of the phone, or like, and just sitting in it. And what comes up is like complete boredom. My son was there yesterday.
I was going to say, we were just talking about that.
My son's 19, and he's kind of like, he's always filling the space. And I'm saying, like, Jackson, you just need to sit in your own shit. Like, you're always running away. You always need to be with somebody. Just what about the relationship with yourself?
Yeah.
So yesterday Friday stayed in. And he was down the stairs at least 20 times. Up and down, up and down. I could feel the agitation in him, and I'm like, I'm like, you're bored. He went, I'm bored. I went, you need to sit in the boredom.
Aye.
And he went, what do you mean? I went, just go and sit in your room. Don't touch your phone. Give yourself an hour. Don't touch your phone. Just sit there. Because something will come up behind that boredom.
Aye.
And then later on that night, he's like, oh, Mum, I felt dead emotional. I'm like, there you go.
Aye.
That's what your boredom was trying to keep you away from.
Yeah.
Aye.
So just take everything away and just sit. And your mind will be like, what's for dinner the night?
Right.
Oh, I need to do that. It'll come up with everything.
To distract you for the trying to stay out, because it's painful sometimes, obviously, when you're going in to meet these things. And it's understandable, because I really don't want to be people to watch this and think that I'm down in any kind of way or any method, because I'm certainly not. Like, everybody to their own.
Yeah.
But just the way I've found with certain things, what I've done with LG and stuff has worked for me. Do you know what I mean? With certain things, obviously I know I'm absolutely miles from where I want to be, but it's important, I think, to kind of see we're in a westernised culture that's got massive addiction rates, massive mental health problems, and we're all trying to fix that. Do you know what I mean? In our different ways. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, like, sometimes I work, and I've got a kind of big mouth, I know, in the kind of addiction world that I work in, you know what I mean? So everybody kind of hangs with me with that. I'm probably similar to you, LG, with that, like, in the world we work in. But I think things need to get said, and you sit and watch people. But again, I think it's because there's that lack of connection to self within the whole of society that we're seeking out stuff like drugs and maybe other vices, do you know what I mean, that to kind of close that gap. Would you agree with that in some way?
Yes. And it's again the avoidance, isn't it? Like, you're doing the things to try and feel better in that moment rather than feeling the shit that's actually
everybody's chasing the quick fix to feel better.
Aye. And
you've got to go through the shit to get to the other end. So you said there, like, you're not where you want to be. What's wrong with where you are right now?
No, I'm happy, and I'm in a happier state than I've ever been, probably for a long, long time. Do you know what I mean? But I'm very uncomfortable in myself at times. Do you know what I mean? And I understand.
Do you think that ever changes?
No.
So
no,
stop
and
chasing
I think it's just acceptance. I say it all the time. Like, I just wrote a book, and it was about being authentic in prison and how basically you just need to accept that reality, which is very hard. I'm not like, it's extremely hard.
Why do you need to accept it?
I know.
That's bullshit stuff, and I know you have to accept this. There is steps to acceptance. Like, one of my coaches used to always say, you just need to go accept stuff, and I'm like, I would always struggle with that. Like, how do I find acceptance? Because everybody seems to be managing it except for me, until I learned, like, okay, it's all right telling people that you need to find acceptance, but nobody's shown me the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found that there's steps to acceptance. First, you're going to be very fucking pissed off, angry, raging at the world, and that's all right. That's like, okay, be there. Don't chase it away. Be there. We've got a lot to be angry for.
Aye.
And let it out your body.
Aye. I mean, we've been let down by a lot of things, like the system as a whole, kind of thing, the society as a whole is kind of letting us down on many fronts at this moment. Do you know what I mean? And I think there is a small shift that you feel that people are starting to kind of see through the bullshit. Do you know what I mean?
To me, the system has to let us down because everybody's looking for a saviour.
Aye.
You are your saviour. So why are you looking for somebody else to come fix your life?
Aye.
It has to let you down then, because that's an attachment.
Aye.
Like,
so you can actually be attached to the society as a whole. Aye. Aye.
So society as a whole is like the father. Everybody's looking for that father figure, somebody to come in and make you feel safe and make it all right. No, that's you.
Exterior validation, like for whatever your source.
Make your own mind up.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, like, obviously, this is another hard question, I know it'll be right, but like a guy who maybe has got a lot of trauma in his life, a guy who's like majorly addicted to drugs, how does he even start to mend himself for that? Like, and I know you're on the
By wanting to in the first place. That's the first thing, is he needs to want to do it.
Aye. So that's obviously like something that the A and the CA and that's the first step in that, is admitting that you're fucked and admitting that you're beat, do you know what I mean? And there is a higher power there, which I think is a great way. I'm not
But then there's one thing admitting that you're fucked and another thing of wanting to change it, because some people are alright being fucked.
Yeah.
I know, and it's I know.
And that's because that's feeding the victim mentality.
Totally.
Yep.
And you can be comfortable in a victim mentality.
Oh, definitely. So that's where Carl Jung comes in with archetypes. That's the only way I've ever used anybody. Like, I like his archetypal structure.
Aye.
And it's like, well, everybody in the universe, let's go Earth, I don't even know the rest of it yet, but in the Earth, we all share 4 main archetypes, and it's like the child, the victim, the prostitute, and the saboteur.
Aye.
And they're 4 things, so you can see it in people, see people who are always ill.
Aye.
Like they're no meaning it in a sense, but they're in the victim, so the victim's being fed, so the victim will then create other things to be a victim for.
I know.
You know what I mean? But victim can also be, because I found this one out and I went, oh, that kind of hurt me. It's not, oh, poor me, look what life's done to me. Victim can be like, fuck you, nobody's going to stop me, I'm going to prove to the world. That's also victim mentality, because you're saying that there's a power above you that controls you. So all these people that they're marching and protesting, they're all in victim too, because they're saying there's a higher power dictating how they live their life.
I know it is deep into it, but it actually makes so much sense when you do strip it back. Do you know what I mean? And it's just what I'm thinking about is obviously, guys, some of the guys I know, and I just go like, their level of awareness is so low, their vibration level's so low, and even trying to break them into something, do you know what I mean? Into even talking about the stuff that we can kind of talk about. I think it takes a different, and I hate to say it because I'm certainly no like anything, but I think you need to be on a different level of consciousness, that wee bit up, just to kind of get that. How could we get, like, you obviously speak about working with like children and stuff, Toni, like kids. Obviously the curriculum, I'm not a great big believer when the schools are teaching the now and stuff like that. How would we go about, because I watch my wee boy and he just does everything, I just let him be who he is. I don't challenge him on anything, I don't shout at him, nothing. And I see him flourishing, do you know what I mean? And I go, I don't even want to put him into school, right? And I know obviously the times are going to come where he needs to go and face society, and it's going to need to come, but do you think what we're doing with the like kids and stuff like that, the nude, how would we, I think we should be teaching about awareness and stuff like that, do you know what I mean, and teaching them about their own self, their relationship with self. Do you think that should be something that could maybe be brought in with kids and stuff? Absolutely,
like that's how I ended up in the schools doing what I was doing. I actually went in teaching yoga and meditation in the high school, and then it led to the kids started speaking to me and wanted to speak to me more, that they then offered me a position in there running like groups and one-to-one sessions about that.
That's amazing.
Teaching them about their emotions, how they can just start to feel into themselves rather than looking to everyone else. Even when they come to me and they sit there and they look for answers, I don't give them any. Like, I need to then flip that back round for them to get that answer themselves.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
It needs to be in the curriculum 100%. This is what the charity, I suppose, the holding space that we do a lot of work with, is all about, is to try and help kids, but I know where this is going to lead to in a minute, families. Our belief is it's not really the kids that need this work.
Aye.
It's the parents, the teachers. We can make them aware of how to tap into their emotions and feeling into themselves and taking that time for themselves. But like you say, they're flourishing where they are if you let them be where they are. It's us as the parents and as a society, adults, that are putting these beliefs and these things on the kids to then give them the troubles that they've got.
Because you see, I mean, obviously they know like I try not to watch it, but I see like there is a lot of kind of mental health problems and stuff like that going on with kids. You know, a lot of kids are like killing themselves, and it's really horrible to watch. And I think just be offering that wee bit of a level of awareness and teaching them. I mean, why do you need to teach them about World War II and stuff
Exactly.
like that? I don't understand why.
And how do we know any of that's true?
I know. You don't know any, do you know what I mean? And we've seen how governments work recently, how they lie to you. So, but the stuff that they do teach, how can they not offer an hour a day to work on the kids themselves? And it does make you ask. You need to ask the question: do they want it? Mm-hmm. Do they want it in there? Because there is a resistance to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how could you even like tell us a wee bit of, like, even a wee, I know you can't name names and that, but maybe a wee success story or something like that you've kind of seen, like.
I think there's been loads, even the way I got into the school, like the fact that they didn't want to go and talk to the school counsellor because of that label. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there in this clinical situation. I'm in there, got them on mats, and at this point, it's when I did meditate. So getting them to meditate, which it is in a way just that, depending on the type of meditation you're doing with them, just that connection with yourself, that allowed them to feel safe enough to go to another teacher and say, can I go and speak to Toni? Mm-hmm. I want to go and start talking to Toni about stuff.
Which is amazing, isn't it, when you actually, when you look at back and you see, because kids at school are shut off and they're usually quite standoffish, and especially for adults, do you know what I mean? Especially if you've got trouble at home and stuff like that, and maybe troubled backgrounds. Yeah. So for kids to come to you like that, it's amazing. And
it's a lot of those type of cases where it is safeguarding. So they're coming and opening up because they feel they can do that. Mm-hmm. When how long have they not been opening up before? Because there's not.
I do see a difference
person.
with this generation though, that like even maybe the 18, 19-year-olds. Yeah. Kind of generation, I see a difference in them and the way they talk to the way that we would have. Well, I'm saying I'm older than used to, but the way that we would have spoke, like way back then, like I hear 18, 19-year-olds now saying, like talking about emotion and how they feel, and I'm like, God, there's no way in my day it was like do or die. No way, like you ever admit you were hurt, you would have been like kicked the shit out of or laughed at. There's no way. Whereas now, like these, and it's boys as well, they were like, oh, I just felt really nervous, and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
So they're already wired differently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're coming in different. In that way. They're coming in different. Yeah.
So there is a wee kind of fluctuation that the kids, because obviously I'm probably saying bullshit as usual, but I'm watching stuff and I do get frightened for the kids, and I go, why we know like teaching them more about themselves, and
they're here to teach us.
Yeah.
Aye.
That's what they're here for. They're bringing in the new. We're the old.
Aye. Yeah.
And what I see, you probably see it as well, Toni, is like people approaching like, oh my child's can you, and they're like, fix them. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with your rain. It's you do need to come. Aye. Your child will always show what's been suppressed and repressed in the household. Yeah. They will show that. So the dad's got hundreds of years of anger, like raging dad issues himself, and he's going about, and the wee boy's picking up on that emotion through his dad. So the wee boy's kicking up. So instead of going, like, how do we need to change your parenting skills or maybe whatever's going on with them, they automatically look at the problem. It's like, oh, we need this needs to be shut up because we're feeling really uncomfortable here. So fix that so we don't actually have to feel anything.
Yeah.
Aye.
And a lot of the times I'll say to them, like, yous need to come.
Aye, and I think parents need to stop thinking it's a diss on them, because it's not a diss on them. They're taught. They've been taught that what they know.
It's the way they've been brought up.
So we are like, it takes a generation to heal a generation. So see if we go back to my granny's generation. My granny's 95. The way that they lived their life, so they would live their life, they were in a war. Like there was no time for emotion, or there wasn't even any mental health illness then. It was like, what? Just go on with it. Like, get in your war shelter, let's go. That's the way they had to live their life. Then the next generation that comes after them are slightly different. That's the generation, there's a lot of sacrifice with that generation, so they had to sacrifice themselves in the way of showing us what not to be. Mm-hmm. That's how many of us, like our age, will be like, our parents were fucked up. Mm-hmm. We had it harder. It was hard because it's like there's no emotion. You're getting slapped for greeting. Shut up, greeting. What are you greeting for? Like, but there was no understanding about any of that stuff. But the way I see it, and if you want to see it like a human, it's like, oh my God, my parents were terrible and I resent them for that. Or if you want to see it like a soul, then you go, okay, why did I choose parents like that? Because they were teaching me what was missing so that I could bring it for mine. And then where I fucked up with mine, they will then go, this is what was missing from my childhood with my parents, so then I'll bring it for mine. And then the generation and the generation keeps moving on, and eventually they get it right. I think we might be dead by that time, but
Aye, long gone.
But it'll come.
But it'll come.
So, like, just, I'm kind of keen to just kind of talk a wee bit about, like, maybe some of the people through history that have been the big game changers, and you guys might know better than me, because people I love, like, I'll say LG, I'll say names, and she'll go like that, nah, and I'm like, oh God, I mean, I can read all his books and all that. But, like, I loved, like, Leonardo da Vinci, the works he done and stuff. I loved Nikola Tesla. These people works are very interesting when you get into the way and the symbolism and talking about, like, just numbers and numerology and the way they kind of describe it. Because there anybody like that sticks out to you guys that you guys would say, or even maybe a teacher like I don't know about, or somebody that's maybe been somebody for you that's kind of shown you?
You go first.
Even when you're saying all that and you're speaking about, like, numerology and stuff, I don't feel like I've ever focused on the person that's brought it in. Like, I just know the stuff. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't even tell you what any of these people have actually done. Like, I've not fixated on them and or maybe I've just not found somebody that I've thought, oh, their work is actually amazing, that I'm going to focus on this.
No, I think you're right, because see, when you look at Tesla and you look at Einstein, and they tell you, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
They say it, like, they say it quite a lot, like, this, and this is no, I'm the son.
But there is history there that it was Einstein's wife was a genius, but back then women couldn't be seen in that path, so Einstein had to take that role. Right. As well, but it was her who was the real genius.
She was putting out Einstein's work, basically. And
maybe he was obviously a very intelligent man, but he would obviously brain with her and throw things about, and that's something that was read, but it's all hearsay because we didn't live them, we don't know these people, so it's like, well, I just take all that like a pinch of salt. For me, I would mention Ber Brown.
Ber Brown, brilliant.
Because she speaks about emotion.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah. And it's truth and it's real stuff that she's coming out with. It's like just like having to tell a story from a human being's point of view, like shame. She talks about shame. And it's a thing that everybody wants to hide.
Well, we can jump onto shame, because shame is something that I was kind of want to talk about, and shame can push you into dark places, like and for many reasons. I mean, it could be like just shame about yourself, the way you are. Do you know what I mean? The action you maybe do when you're under the influence. Like, there's things maybe like you've done that you're not proud of when like, there's so much stuff that carries a lot of shame. So, how would you categorise shame, and how would you say that fits into the kind of
fucker?
The one that catches us all.
Little bastard.
Aye. So is it just a shame again, just something again that you kind of need to step over and just kind of leave at the back? It's obviously it's not as easy as that for a lot of people, we know that, but you spoke about Ber Brown, and I don't know if you know Nicole Shapira, like
you've mentioned her before. I've not really looked at any of your stuff, but
she's
you have
pretty good on all of that kind of stuff. And I think it's just trying to, like, when you speak to people, it's like, I'm going to start reading things, I think, about people just more for probably just more for like enjoyment. I think just like enjoy, because it's like Gabor Mate. I mention him on every podcast. I absolutely love him. I think he's amazing, but he's amazing at breaking down connection and stuff like that. And he's way.
Well, he's a man who's looked at it from the realistic place.
Yeah.
Aye.
Instead of coming out with all this jargon, all this bullshit, he's went, oh, wait a wee minute, he's watched people.
Aye.
So he's coming from that place of being in it, like, and he does his own work.
Yeah.
that's what you're going to see a small amount of in this spiritual community, is people who actually do their own work. And it's like you were mentioning before about teachers. The kids don't want to go to teachers because teachers are sitting there trying to help a child when they probably get the same issues themselves and don't even look at that. So there's no empathy. So they can't go, oh, I know what they're feeling, because they've not even dealt with their own stuff.
Or they're being triggered by it.
Or they're being triggered by it and telling the child to, oh, that's just a lot of nonsense or whatever. And what I see, like, well, all my kids are out of school now, but what I see when my kids were in school, it's like half the teachers have got jobs teaching have lost their passion.
Aye,
like they're just, there's no understanding. There's dictatorship. There's, I will tell you what to do and you must obey. That is gone. That era is gone.
I know.
It's like, well, where do we need to start seeing kids as equals? Like, okay, so they've got wisdom because they've come in this door with wisdom that we don't have. So where can we work as a team? Where can we see them as a vital part of this community, rather than just, you don't know anything because you've not been on this earth as long as me?
Yeah.
Well, I would say they know more then.
Yeah.
Because they've got less conditioning and less cope mechanisms. They're more open to that message that's offlowing through us all from our heart. They're more open to that.
I know, because even when you're broken and you're there's still that wee
Define
light in
broken.
there. Like, so when I'm broken, it was like my thinking's foggy, right? My thinking's all over the place. I've got really bad anxiety that's pushing me to think about maybe taking like I've taken a Valium or something. Do you know what I mean? To stop that. Forgiveness, trying to forgive people that probably don't deserve it, and we've done a lot of work on that, and that's helped me, LG. It's really did help me a lot with that, and I believe I'm in a position where I have forgave people, and I'm not fully, like, I'm not, like, as I said,
it
but
comes in layers.
it comes at processes, but it's certainly I don't get the same hatred, if you like, for names when I hear them. That's away, and that went away after a session with you, LG. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's just trying to kind of how some people. If I say to some people still say to me, I don't really care now. Do you know what I mean? But some people go, how the fuck can you forgive him? Like, fucking, and you're like, I get where you're coming from, mate. Like, totally understand. But that's your shit.
Yeah.
And when you put it back on them, they don't really like it. Do you know what I mean? There's a defence mechanism. So I try and work around that. And I know it's probably not my place today, but I do try and go with it. And I've had a lot of people coming to me recently, since I started the podcast and stuff, that are for a better word, broken, maybe addiction stuff and that, like guys in the pub and that, Sean, can I speak to you? And guys I would never have thought. Guys that have got this hard image and I'll drink nothing, they'll go, Sean, can I speak to you when you get a minute? And I'm like, aye, of course.
So
like,
nobody's broken.
Yeah.
Aye.
They can't be broken. You might be in a shitty place and feel crap and be doing crap things, but you're not broken.
Aye.
Even in that day I was filling the bath, I was going to end it, slip my wrist, it's done. I wasn't broken then. That's my biggest gift.
Yeah.
Aye.
Like, if I never went through that, how would I be able to sit and help people who might commit suicide? How would I understand where they are when they sit across me? How would I know how they feel inside?
Aye.
Some things we have to live to feel how they feel and move at them. So it's like there's nobody broken. So even that need to take a Valium is like, you're in that place and you need to feel the weight of that place, because it's the only way, when we feel that weight, it's the only way we're going to shift and grow.
So it all comes to emotion again, I think. Like, you feeling that's broken, it's because there must be a belief in there that
You should feel that
way to feel is bad. That then you're in a bad place because you're feeling angry or alone or shameful or whatever it is, guilt. But they're just emotions.
I know.
But we're taught from those generations
there's something wrong
before
with it.
that they're bad.
That's probably our biggest problem, is that we think there's something wrong with feeling shit.
Yeah.
Aye.
Or what is it they say, the only problem with our problem is we think we shouldn't have any.
Aye. I know.
Like, we're here, we're signed up for this shit. Like, it's tough,
We're here
it's hard
to feel,
work.
and that's it.
It's hard, and
I
there's
know,
times
it's
I
no
go,
way, I
like,
know.
get me off this, right?
Yeah.
Aye. No, totally. It's dead interesting, and obviously, you know, I love talking to you guys, and I'm just, it's like the work I try and do. I'd love to try and some sort change the prison system. And I know that's an enormous task. That's
You can only change you.
aye.
Once you change, say like, oh, the emotional news like dark, and once you change, that emotion starts to come off you because you're feeling it and you're filtering it through, and then your light gets to shine through more, that other people feel that vibration in you, and then they will approach you.
Definitely.
Because there is a saviour complex as well. That's one of the archetypes of, I need to save everybody.
Yeah.
One, it's giving everybody what you need yourself, and two, it's a way to avoid your own pain. People are where they are because they're supposed to be there.
Aye.
And they have guidance. Source has a plan for every single person. There's nobody anywhere that's left behind. Where we are is where we're supposed to be in that moment, until that moment changes.
Aye. And so, see, like, obviously the people, and I don't even know if we should go into this kind of topic, but things that happen, like really bad things that happen to people, and how do they start to then go, that was supposed to happen to me, if you know what I mean, like that. I know it's a big question, and it's, if you can't, it's not something that you need.
Well, there's an element of, okay, how is that supposed to happen to me? We're not saying it's all right that it happened to you. You're still allowed to feel shit about it, terrible about it. If we want to break it back all the way back to energy wise, right? So we're in this ball hurtling through space, and the vibration of it will change. We're coming from a really low dense place where really low dense things happened. So what has to happen is our souls will like volunteer to say, like, I'll go to Earth and we'll play this out. That's like people who are really angry. They're playing at the anger because it has to play out. Anger needs you to stay angry for it to survive.
Aye.
So it does feed. It feeds the thoughts and feeds the mind. But you've got two ways to look at something, right? Something happened to you. Can you change it? No, it's in the past. So you can either stay there and be that victim. Oh, why did this happen to me? Be raging, be angry, letting that darkness consume you. Or you could go, well, how can I see this from a different angle? Change your perception. It's like, okay, so what did it teach me? What did it teach me about me? And I mean, I've had horrific things happen in my life, and it's like, I can see that, and that happens when you shift vibrationally as well, though, that you can get to see like the gift in things. So everything has a silver lining. So 2021, my dad hung himself. You could look at that in one way of going, oh my God, like that's horrific. It was a shock. I was angry. I had a lot of anger in there, but then I was quick to kind of, and because I do this work, though, it is easier for me just to quickly turn it around to say, right, okay, so that was his choice. Like, he chose that in that moment, but what did it teach me about me? What is this gift giving me? There is an element of, well, if I wasn't there myself, how would I know what somebody feels like when they want to commit suicide? So I understand where my dad was and how he was feeling. But also, well, now I can see it from the other side as well. So then I can help more people. So for me, I kind of see it's different because my job is this. Like every single thing I experience as Laura Jane on this earth, then I can then use it to an advantage to help somebody else who's going through that. Pain's going to happen. Shit's going to happen. Like, we're coming through the mud.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? And we need to play stuff out, but you can either stay there and go, well, this happened to me, this was wrong, but you're feeding the anger. The anger does need you to be angry for it to survive. Or you can go, right, okay, well, I need to look at this differently. What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about the world? What did I learn about people? So you can start picking it apart, and then eventually you find little glimmers of, oh, actually, wait a minute, that, like, I endured that. Like, I kind of, and I need to be careful with this because then that comes into kind of survivor talk. But we don't want to feed a survivor either because they always need to survive. But it's like, okay, I learned how strong I was as a person. Well, I learned forgiveness. So there's a book, Sacred Contracts, it's called Caroline Myss. She's really good. She's from Brooklyn. She talks the way I like it, straight lines. She just hits you with it. So there's a bit in the book and she's talking about like when you're a soul and you want to come to Earth and you're like, oh, I want to learn forgiveness. And they're like, okay. So you're sitting in the wee office and you're writing up all your kind of itinerary and you're like, right, you want to learn forgiveness. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to draft in some people to help you learn that. So have you got anybody in mind? And then you're like, there's my pals there, they're going to come in and they'll help me. So their pals are standing in the line and they're like, okay, so somebody has to really fuck her up for her to learn forgiveness. So the ones who love you the most will be like, oh, I don't really want to do this, but if that's what you want, I'll serve that purpose for you. Then you can go through the process of learning forgiveness. Like, I know that everybody's here and we're having a human experience.
Aye.
For me, spirituality is everything on earth, even murder. All of it.
Aye.
Because we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yeah.
So there is no right way or wrong way. There just is what is. And Source doesn't see it as right or wrong. He just sees us as, he just loves us. No matter what we're doing, he's like, oh, I just love them. Just they'll find their way at school. Just love them. Just love them.
Well, I think you can find that some of the, I mean, obviously there's some people that you would go, oh, don't deserve forgiveness, this and that, but what the way I've found is, and it might, there's certain people that I totally understand that they're angry, and there's people that in my life that hate me and are angry, and I get it, I totally understand, and I totally empathise with them and sympathise with that. There's other people in my life that like I hate and and stuff like that, but that hatred has definitely died down a lot. I don't have that burning hatred that like the Buddha calls it. I remember reading a thing when the Buddha says like you're basically just standing there with two hot coals waiting to hit somebody.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're only burning yourself.
Oh,
Yep.
definitely, yep.
But there is some people who are so conditioned by society that you're just very, very hard to penetrate through.
But that's the role they have to live.
Yeah.
Aye.
And you have to honour that's
Yeah.
what they're so chosen. That's all right.
Aye.
Not everybody's to wake up in this lifetime.
And I think the people that come to you, I don't know if you will probably get this more than me, but the more I do this, the more I've had people asking me, can you help me with this, and can you? And I'm trying my hardest to help as many people as I can, but you can't help everybody.
You can't help anybody but yourself.
Yeah.
Aye.
So if you're becoming that, so there's this triangle, right? It's the drama triangle. See at the top, you've got saviour, then you've got victim, then you've got perpetrator. So if there's a victim who comes to you, you need to help me with this, Sean, you need to help me, and then you're becoming the saviour. The more that you become the saviour, you then turn into the perpetrator because you're keeping the victim and victim.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye,
So
aye.
the only way to get off the drama triangle is to just come off the drama triangle and don't. These people need to save themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Aye.
can guide. And I learnt this because, I mean, I've done this for 10 years now, and it's like at the start, it's like, oh my God, what if I fuck somebody up?
Yeah.
And this need to help people. And then you realise, no, actually, they need to have that power, their own power, to realise that their answer is them.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yes, I can show them the path, but they must walk it. I'm not
Aye.
going to do the work for them.
And it's just like, just to let the kind of viewers know, I know many people who have worked with LG and are flourishing now, like, and totally living, people with, but like, I'm obviously not going to name names, but people like with terrible past and stuff who are flourishing now, and it's a testament to yourself, and obviously Toni, you do the same with the kids and stuff, and it's amazing work. I asked Gabor Matti this, I don't know if you remember this, Toni, I asked Gabor Matti this, I says, like, see, like prison's a place where it's, you've got to like flip the whole societal rules and see prison is like where violence is celebrated, like drugs are celebrated, there's like behaviours, and it's dead easy. If you want to, you kind of need to go into survivor mode. It's very hard to go into prison and just kind of be, because the exterior doesn't allow you to be like that. How would you, for somebody like myself, if maybe I was going to go into prison, we kind of work like this, how would that even, how would you even begin to do that kind of work with somebody that's in that kind of environment? Because environment, is that everything, or am I just overhanging the prison, or is environment everything? Could you even try it in there?
I think you could get a bash, but it all comes down again to whether they want to change.
Yeah.
Like everything that LJ has just
Totally.
said.
Yeah.
Like,
You couldn't go in there with your superhero cape on and save
No.
everybody. You would only go in there if somebody requested that, and then they would need to come to you, because then when they come to you, they're in the receptive mode, so they're
Yeah.
ready to receive that
Definitely.
information. Whereas if you're telling people who are not ready to receive, they will never hear you.
No,
They will attack you for it because they don't want to hear it.
I know.
So it's kind of like, so we've got the microcosm, which is within, and then the macrocosm, which is outside. So the macrocosm is what surrounds you, your environment. That's a reflection of what's inside. But the two of them affect each other.
Aye.
So the outside does affect the inside, and the inside definitely affects the outside.
It's not, because obviously in prison you've got like chaplains and you've got different like you've imams and you've got people that go about and you can kind of request to see these people, but there's nobody there doing the kind of work that you guys are doing that somebody could request to see.
Yeah.
Which I think's no good. Do you know what
No,
I mean?
is it?
Yeah.
Is it fuck? Because it's like chaplains are reading out a book and it's somebody else's scripture. It's not like, let me see you through the pain.
Yeah.
Let me see you through all that bullshit that you think you are. And I'll see who you are inside. Like, I have men come to me, like big men come to me, and it's like, I just see the broken wee boy. I just see it instantly in them. I'm like, oh, you're so gentle under there.
Aye.
But it's the coping mechanisms and the, as you say, in prison, it's like violence is celebrated. Because if you're not violent, then you're considered weak.
Yeah.
And it's this perception of like emotion and vulnerability and men as like a weakness. And that's going to take a while. That's 18, 19-year-olds are nearly, they're there.
Yeah.
They're getting it. It's the older generation.
Yeah.
Aye. Well, it's funny you say that because coming from the prison system, I've heard that Pullman is much better than when we were there. Like I was actually doing a podcast with two guys yesterday who were we all started off in Pullman. And we'll just talk about just the absolute madness of how chaotic it was. But apparently, like, for what I hear, it's like a better that is like, they're better kind of...
Well, everything's changing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know.
Everything's going to change anyway.
Aye.
I've never been in prison, so I can't even put myself in there to see what that life is like. I don't know that, but what I can see in like school and on the outside, I know things look chaotic, but for me, chaos brings change and change brings chaos. So it's like when I see things shifting, it does look quite chaotic. Lots of people get angry. That's like the next ones who are wakening up. Like, God, they're all marching just now. The scene that the kind of Zara had to shut their doors because they were all marching for stuff. And it's like, well, that's the next ones that are wakening up because they're in that angry stage, like, fuck off. And it's like, well, anger is an important place to go through because the anger is shielding everything else.
And you get, I think there's exposure coming on, like big pharma companies and stuff like that, with the role that they play in the actual, probably, as you've spoken about before, LJ, like the darkness that's actually in what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? They're actually...
Well, it's all to make money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aye.
It's all to make money. So my mum lived my whole life through illness, like 36 tablets a day. She was my gift to look after my body, to eat properly. But I could see in her, like, searching for this saviour. The doctor will help me. The doctor will help me. Like, you are your own doctor. Your body knows how to heal. Your body knows how to heal. Like, you cut yourself, you need to go and read the book and then go, I need to learn how to heal. Your body just does it on its own. That's how wise it is. But we have that much on us. Searching for a hero, searching for a saviour, we're in victim, we feel angry, we're holding on to resentment, that much stuff on us. Oh, shame. I feel shame because I done this when I was like 4. And that's how shame works because it sticks. It's like a cancer and then it starts to breed. But we've got that much stuff on us that we can't get to that. And we're too in here, in our head. Our head is only the tool to decipher the messages for the heart.
I know. I always try and say to people, like, if I'm, like, your brain's like basically a problem-solving machine, and if you let it run, it will try and solve every problem. And if it doesn't get an answer, which some things there isn't an answer for, it'll go everywhere to try and get that answer.
It's like Google, innit? So if you put into Google, I don't want to see chocolate cake, you're still going to get images of chocolate cake.
I know, and that's what you're trying on your... But, no, it's something that I would love to... I'd love to kind of see that presence in the prison system, do you know what I mean? And even just somebody going in, but obviously it's a big job. But I mean, the chaplains and stuff, they get quite well received in prison, especially when people are at their most vulnerable. But I didn't like it because I just to see, like, I kind of...
Well, it depends what scripture they're coming for as well, of like, you have sinned, or God wants you to be good. Like, God doesn't give a shit. Like, source does the care. Like, you're here to have an experience, just have it. Have it. What's morally right with you? What sits right with you? That's your navigational system in here. Like, how do you feel? Maybe in the moment when you do stuff, it's like, whoa, the power's coming through. Afterwards, you would be like, oh, shit. That's your moral compass. That's the aspect to you that is source, that's in your heart.
Aye.
That's that to feel like, oh, that was a bit shit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But most people hang their shell up on the thing that they've done wrong and beat their shell up on it, and then they think they are it. It's like the whole AA thing, and I know it has a place. But for me, I see people who have been off, like say they've been an alcoholic and they've not drank for 15 years and they're still carrying about, I'm an alcoholic. And I'm like, right, we need to drop that label. Because you're carrying it about like a fucking cross
or I'm in
on your back. Like, I am an alcoholic. No, you're not. You've not drank for 15 years.
Aye.
There's something that's feeding that in there that's telling you that wants you to still be in that victim place of believing that, oh, I could do this again. And it's fear.
Aye. Oh no, it's definitely like there's so much teachings. I remember going to like confession and stuff like that, and like you were just, it was like, oh, dead thingy, and you were scared. You know what I mean? There was a lot of fear, and you were like, oh god, you know what I mean? Like, and if you don't tell me this, if you don't tell me this, you're going to hell and stuff, and you're like, it's quite frightening. But how, obviously, looking at the kind of the place we're in the now and the way things seem to be going, and there is that wee kind of that chaos, and obviously there's loads and loads of great people that have said the exact same as we used to the LG, that good stuff come out of chaos. Do you think this kind of fight the new is what people, I don't know if they call it, but people call it like a fight for souls, if you like that is a kind of thing that's happening the now? There's a thing that's actually going on. Do you think that is, do you think that is the darkness and the light are kind of fighting the new?
Absolutely.
We're in a spiritual war, if you want to call it that.
Aye.
We're in a spiritual war, and it is for your soul.
Aye. I know, and I think it's trying to strip it back, because obviously if you want to go back to me, Sean, man, I can't be bored listening to you because I'm like, I don't get, so I've spoke to some of my pals and they'll say things like, but it's just even with Palestine and Israel, and I'll go, but they're killing Waynes and they're blowing up kit, and they go, I know, but is it? And you're like, I know, but what? Like, madness, like they're killing Waynes, like what you talking about? And I just don't get like war and stuff, how people can okay war when that became,
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? When that became all right, like when it just happens, like countries go to war and it's all right.
It's because they've desensitised us to it.
Aye.
Totally.
Like it's
normal.
It's all right.
Aye.
And that's, if you want to go into like America does something and then they've done that, but no, wait a wee minute. There's a reason why that happened, because somebody done something first.
Aye.
Because it's an agenda.
Definitely.
It's an agenda, and the big thing that we call the matrix.
Aye.
And the only way to come out the matrix is just to take your complete awareness away from it.
Aye.
I don't watch news, don't buy papers, because it's all, there is bad things happening in the world, but how much of that's true that they're feeding us?
No, it's a narrative you're getting fed into, and it's
and for what reason?
I know, and it's the narrative does always lead you probably like, you don't watch the news and see. I used to say it all the time. I go, why do they never? Like, even like prison and stuff, why do they not have these success stories, guys that are coming out of prison and doing great and going away and helping
Then that gives people hope.
I know.
Even hope, I don't really like
fear.
That one. Hope is fear in it. It's no solid.
No.
No, hope, I it's funny you say that, because when I was going through the process in my appeal process in prison, hope probably kept me alive, right? But it also was so sore.
Yeah.
Like, it was extremely painful, because a lot of people, when you're obviously at that time I didn't really have a clue where I was in my head or anything, but there was a lot of exterior people like hope, and that hope as well. So you end up, it's kind of like a collective consciousness, if you like, where that you're all in the same hope.
So
Like,
for me, that word and that kind of scenario is just survivor.
Yeah.
aye,
It's all just survivor, and survivors coming together to survive.
aye,
So it depends how deep you want to look at things, and like the probability of where you are in your life right now. That's happened hundreds of lifetimes before.
Yeah.
And it's you're in this loop of living the same experience. It might look different in every life, but it's the same emotion, the same energetic experience. That needs broken.
aye.
That needs broken. And that's what I done with you when I worked with you. That's how you don't feel that same level of hatred anymore, because we took that away.
Aye. Oh no, definitely. It's actually quite amazing how that doesn't. I mean, obviously it's still at times. Do you know what I mean? I think if I'm probably connected to the society or whatever at that moment in time, and that certain names come up, you do still get that week, but it's honestly nowhere near the way.
Yeah,
I
and it's
used
just
to.
different
It's a big
layers
layer.
of something
Yeah.
else needing taken away.
Aye.
That's it.
I
Because
know.
your body can only get rid of what it's ready to get rid of in that moment. If we were to heal everything through all lifetimes, in this moment, we would probably just like combust.
Aye.
Aye.
We
Oh, aye.
would.
And that's why this stuff that we do is a lifelong journey.
Journey.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a go for a couple of sessions and
I'm healed. Or there's some
Aye.
spiritual teachers out there telling people that they're fully healed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
God, man, like
I
that would be
know.
good. And I know people who's done this work a lot longer than me, who still would never say they're fully healed.
Aye.
But there's people out there telling people they're fully healed, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that smells like bullshit to me.
And it's why it's dangerous.
that
Like,
is
it's
a
a
lot in
big
there.
trend
Aye.
now,
Oh,
obviously.
God, yep.
Spirituality.
That is.
Aye, and then plant medicine, like people who are not like, and I was in that, I've done that, I've been
Yeah.
on that step of going there to experience what it's like, and then once I got there and experienced what it's like, I could see the dark in it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so dark. And it's not healing people. It might make them feel like they're
Yeah.
healing or give them the illusion of it. But what I see is that people who even run these circles are really, really, like, they're manipulative.
Yeah.
They're corrupt. Their ego's been fed, like that inflated ego's been fed of, like, I need more money or I need more. So they're cashing in on other people's weakness.
Or that saviour aspect of them.
Or the saviour
They're
aspect of it. Yep.
righteous, they're gurus.
Oh,
they're-
yeah.
Oh, dude, I mean, you look at, I watched that program not that long ago, and what was it called? The big, remember the big Waco?
Oh, aye.
Waco.
Aye.
I watched that. I mean, that guy, I mean, knew the Bible, but it's amazing how quickly you can condition somebody
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
like coming in, and
Yeah.
he was basically like, I mean, I think he was very clever and he was articulate, and I don't know if he thought he was who he was, honestly, because I've kind of read into him more than probably what I should about him, but he was a really interesting character,
Yeah.
and but people were going in and giving their wives away and stuff, and he was saying like, I should be the only person that's hanging, and
Yeah.
like people died.
Well,
with
look
him,
at
do you know
John
what
the
I mean?
God.
Aye.
So he's Brazilian. He was like doing psychic surgery, like channeling, apparently, channeling like surgeons. I don't know if it's surgeons that used to live on this earth or surgeons for other planets, whatever. But he was channeling surgeons anyway, and he was performing surgery on stage. Like, people gathered in their thousands, and they were all dressed in white, walk through the streets of Brazil, and this John the God would heal. And he's a fucking millionaire,
Aye.
like massive, and he's a paedophile.
I know.
Then you've got Osho.
a lot of
Like,
them turn
Osho's
out to
quotes
be-
are amazing. You got it. But then Osho's followers were going about food poisoning people and causing destruction. It's like, yeah, people can be interesting, but are they spreading truth?
I know.
Yeah.
No, there is a lot of kind of interesting characters and people I like. Do you know what I mean, in that world? But I have seen, like different sides of, because I've not been in it in the way yous have been through it. But I definitely see different sides of different people when you start looking kind of behind the veil of.
Behind the mask.
Aye, like,
Yeah.
and that, as you say, there's a lot of people. Yeah, if you should probably same as the recovery world. When you come into the recovery world, you should really all be batting off. If you're talking about recovery, right? So why is there so many different versions of it? Like why? Like, I understand there is, and I understand there's places for this and that, but people fight in it. Like, people fall out and like hate each other, and
But it's
I
just
will talk
religion all over
Aye.
again.
Aye,
This religion's right, no, that religion's right.
just
You're
division.
wrong, we're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you're all right to a certain aspect.
Yeah.
Aye.
So who cares? There's truth in everything
aye.
if you look for it.
And if you come together, it's such an amazing experience. See, when you actually do get people that come together for that kind of same reason, for it's an amazing to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've watched it in different places, like in Berlin and stuff, when we were doing the recovery cafe, and it was just a wee space where people were able to get vulnerable. But see, watching boys all being able to get vulnerable in a prison
Yeah.
setting, I'd never seen
Yeah.
that before, and it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, because then you're learning, even the ones who are vulnerable, the other ones are learning how to hold space
Yeah.
for that vulnerability and see each other without going, I check you, get a big poof.
Aye,
Yeah.
aye.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, let's be real here, because we all hurt.
Aye,
Everybody hurts. Even the
Yes.
biggest tough man out there who thinks he doesn't feel nothing fucking hurts.
aye. Oh, I was, we were actually speaking about it yesterday, and just how how much its fear is actually driving everything.
Yeah.
Even if you, and see when you say your fear, some guys go, I'm not fear ending. I go, I don't think you are. I know you'll.
But even that fear is making them.
But that fear is, that is the fear of you
Yeah.
losing face or losing
Yeah.
whatever. There is a fear there that's making you be the way you are.
Definitely.
And it's trying to get people to realise and connect with that fear, so that they can drop it, basically.
Fear causes wars.
Aye.
Fear
And
causes
on every-
separation. Whenever there's separation, there's fear.
Aye.
Them against you, it's all fear. So like I like to split everything down to light or dark, it's love or fear.
Love and fear.
So, see, connection, right? Connection's obviously a huge thing, and it's something that I believe in, like, quite a lot. How do you, like, people with all different kind of beliefs, and people very strong, I don't say that in front of me and all this kind of stuff, and you're not allowed to kind of have debates, do you know what I mean? You're like, fucking hell, like, I'm only saying, like, it's
Yeah.
have you have a point of view, like, that's fine, I don't, like,
Yeah.
but have a debate, open yourself up to the debate and let somebody else even bring in a hang. How do you even try and, like, start to bring in connection, even with your own circle, for people watching that maybe they have that kind of shut off? Is it just about listening to them and trying to take on?
Well,
like,
you don't.
you know, you
You
just-
just leave them where they are. You can only meet people where they are.
Aye.
So it's like families, for instance. Like we all know we've got families. That they'll be shut off. They'll have their own way. Like my family will look at me and they're like, "She's a fucking coconut," and I'm all right with that. I mean, that's fine. I know there's an element of suppression on most people on this earth to think all this stuff that we're talking about is bullshit.
Yeah.
Aye.
That's the whole point. It's like the best thing the devil did was convince people that it wasn't real. So it's like, well, you want to see the truth, you need to look at things for this aspect of an energetic point. So when I see people like that who are shut off, then I just leave them where they are.
Yeah.
Aye.
And I can see through that. I can see through that and see them. It's like, well, they're just scared, or they're just believing this, or they're clinging on to that. And it's like, well, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Aye.
So again,
It's
it's
all right.
that part of, and I'm still there sometimes, the same as you. LJ's obviously further along than both of us, that you want to help them see. And even you saying to us, how would people start? Like, there is that part that wants to try and
Aye.
change and help.
But then
because
that's
if
the fear in
everybody,
you.
yeah,
That wants to change them so that you don't have to feel uncomfortable.
yeah,
Because obviously there is part. I still feel a wee bit guilty about some of my pals in prison that are left behind, and I know where they are. I know the state they're in. And you do feel.
But if you're going to try and save them and you're feeling guilty for them, to walk their path for them, who's walking your path for you?
Totally.
You have to forge a path first. So sometimes you need to leave people behind.
Yeah.
And you forge the path by doing your own work, your own healing. And then what happens is people then notice, he's a bit different.
Yeah.
Without you even having to say, they notice, and then that path you've forged, they go, I'm going to try about this. And that's enough to take them on. Some people might be that shut, they've never ever take that path, and that's all right, because
Aye.
that's what's been chosen for this lifetime for them.
We need
And that's
to be
cool, you
okay
just
with
leave them
that.
where they're at.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean to say they're not doing their work. They're playing out that level of what you see in them, like denial. So they're playing out denial. That's cool. You play it out. Thanks very much for that.
So there's a level of acceptance on our part in the way that you
It's
just
all
need to
you.
accept
Yeah.
where
Everything comes
everything
back
is
to you.
and it is what it is,
Yeah.
and you can't really. I mean, that is, it's very strong, powerful. Do you know what I mean? And it's obviously something that really because obviously if you're really looking at not writing half a generation, but you're really right, like, just have to leave this generation and work with
They've
the kids and stuff.
sacrificed
Aye.
themselves for
Yeah.
that, and that's their soul's aspect, their work that they're doing for the whole evolution of human.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, something's coming in there. I hate when that comes. Bring it back. Say what you were saying.
So, I can't even remember what I was saying.
Go on. Oh God, because I was going to say it, and I don't want to interrupt, and then because it was coming in really strong, and then it's just
It was
it's
a
just
bit like
took itself away again.
basically
Toni will
people's
remember.
agenda, like why they're here. So some of them need to be
So
playing that
just
part.
so we just need to accept the role that we are. we're doing, right?
That's
So,
it. Thank you very much. Right, so the way I see everything in life is everything is me. Everything is me. Everybody, my interactions with everybody, it all reflects how I feel, how I think. So it's a good way for me, if somebody's like really agitating me, I'm like, that guy's an arsehole. Then I kind of go, right, okay, where am I an arsehole?
Yeah.
Or is he like, is he showing me something that I don't like about this behaviour? So everything's me. Oh, okay, so why am I judging that behaviour? So I'll look at everything that is me, where I feel guilty for people. So what in me feels guilty for them?
Aye.
Because their souls chose that. And if I feel guilty for them, so what is it? What is the guilt feeding?
Aye.
Am I making sense?
Aye. No, definitely. I obviously it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense to a lot of other people watching, but I think, no, I totally understand it. And I think you need to, for anybody watching, it's just, I think you need to open up just to, like that wee.
But you don't even
debating
need to, because
yourself.
if it's not in your agenda for this life, then who actually cares?
I know, she's wondering here.
Basically, what we're doing is always looking back at ourselves and fucking seeing your own bullshit.
Aye.
Instead
And the
of
right
that-
people who are going to hear this, actually hear this and hear,
Aye.
will hear this. The other ones will go, what a lot of shite, and turn it off. They're
And
all,
that's
they're all
fine.
smoking something crazy in there. We're out of here. And that's all right,
Aye,
because
that's where they need to be
That's
at.
we're
what they
just
are,
doing
aye.
this for awareness for the people out there who feel
Yeah.
like there must be something else.
'Cause
There
you
must be
always do
more
feel
than
that,
this.
didn't you?
Yeah.
There's something else.
There's something, because I always had that feeling like there must be more to life than this.
Yeah.
Aye.
And then I found it, and then I actually now understand why I felt that all my life.
Yeah.
Aye.
So this doing meeting like this today is for the people like that out there who know there's something else.
Aye.
They're starting to see like, this doesn't feel right, this sort of way of life.
Aye.
Then this will be for them.
Aye. So the last wee bit I'm going to just kind of touch on, right? Because I've loved it, loved this podcast. It's been brilliant, man. Like just delving into it all, but with symbolism, because this is something that happened to me, and I don't know. Like, see, when I was on that wee journey, that I was kind of when I was at my best and I was feeling my best and stuff like that. I was seeing hawks and stuff a lot, right? And I was looking up and I was googling it. What does that mean? And it was like find your path, right? And then I remember walking in the corner and it was a fox, right? And I swear to God, the fox.
I've got something
just
to tell you about.
I was like, but it was fucking staring me out, man. I was like, I know how they usually run away. I was like, this thing's so fucking staring me. This is fucking challenging me here. And I was like, well, and I just kind of kept walking towards it, and it would not move. It just stared at me. So when I looked up, it was like it was taught about like you need to find yourself. Like the spiritual meaning was exactly how I was feeling at the time. Then this is even more mental, right? This is even mental. I was in work and I got bit with something, right? So I thought something had stung me, but it was like this wasn't that long ago. This was like about a month ago, and it flew away up in the light, and I was like, fucking bit me there. And Tasha, and the last of my work, she went, "That's a ladybird." Right? And I went, "A ladybird?" I went, "It'll never bit me then," you know what I mean? I was like obviously just fucking. And I looked up, ladybirds can bite you.
I didn't know that. I knew they're quite vicious in the insect world, like they kill other insects and eat them, but I didn't know they could bite. I've never been bitten by one.
And when the spiritual meaning of that was bang on and all, like how.
Yeah.
So, just to obviously open up a wee bit, so you can do. You obviously got the story with the fox story. Do you know what I mean?
I love my synchronicities. So a fox does mean something to me. Like that's the same kind of story for me. I relate it to my gran, who's no longer here. But today, right before I came here, my wee boy, I looked out the window to see if it was still all frosty and icy, if I needed to defrost the car. My wee boy went, "Mum, what's that?" And there was a fox. So it's broad daylight, busy street, just standing in the middle of the road, looking in the window. And I was like, oh, thanks, Bella. But then it kept coming back. It was as if it was waiting on me to get in the car. But what's also funny is there's fucking ladybugs all over my house. How many times do I
know,
say
send
to
me
you?
pictures.
I'm
Right?
actually going to
Ladybugs.
Google that now. You can.
So there's your synchronicity.
Aye, definitely. So what do you think? What about yourself, LG? What would you say about symbolism?
I think there's something in it, but you could Google it and get 10 different reasons. They all give you different
Belief out
Aye, they give you
people's
different
stories
meanings for
again.
it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, okay, there is signs that and stuff like that come from like that other side, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Like for us, for messages for us, that's kind of, we're getting into shamanic kind of sort of stuff. Like
Aye.
they believe everything's a message. There is truth in everything, as I said. So it's like there's constant communication in our environment for us. It's just that we don't actually, we're not aware of it because we're too busy in the
Aye.
mind and
Yeah.
the 3D bullshit, that we don't see all this as it is. For me, if I seen a fox, I would feel into myself and go, well, what does a fox mean to me? Like, how does it feel? So they're quite durable, aren't they? They're quite. Well, lots of people think they're cunning, but they're very intelligent.
Aye,
They
aye.
survive.
Yeah.
So
Aye.
I would look at that aspect of it rather than going to Google, or because I mean, you could pick one that fits.
And
There's that many.
Aye,
is
that's
there?
what
Is there?
annoys me.
Oh,
Aye.
right. See, I never know. I think it was a survivor one. It was like you're getting over. It was
Yeah.
basically meaning like you're starting to
Yeah.
get over things that you had to be in. Which at that time it suited. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always kind of go for whatever in the moment when I see it, whatever my thought is in that
Aye, what
moment.
comes
That's what I
in.
was supposed to think at that
Yeah.
time, and that then triggered that thought.
Aye.
This is where a lot of, well, my beliefs anyway have changed, because if you had asked me that a year ago, this is all I spoke about. This is all I
Aye.
taught people, if you like, how to connect with the other side and signs and synchronicities and all that. I used to ask for them all the time, like,
Aye.
show me the fox, right,
Aye.
Gran, if this is the right thing for me to do, show me the fox. That's all
Aye.
gone now. But then, like LJ says, they'll still come, and it's still a nice wee, oh, right, okay, aye, I
Yeah.
see that as my Gran. Oh, you bought me
But
that
you're not clinging
teddy
to it
as
for an
well.
answer anymore.
I'm not searching
Yeah.
for something again, because it's dangerous. Like,
Aye. I know.
you
then
could
you're
go down a
putting-
rabbit hole now of
Aye.
every time you see, that was me, every time you see an animal, every time you see a
Yeah.
number, what does that mean?
Aye.
Which
And
is
you
giving
can
your
just
power away to
search.
something
And
or
it can
somebody
say,
else.
yeah, like it can give you really bad mental health. Like when you start, and if you look something up and it tells you something bad's going to happen,
Yeah.
Oh, aye.
you know, you could get.
Aye, of course.
So
Aye.
it could be
It's
dangerous.
the same as if you're ill, don't ever Google it.
Aye.
Don't go there.
No, I know.
I've
I
done
know.
that. Don't go there.
I know. What is a sore head? And you're like, oh, I'm going to die.
Oh my God, I've got 2 days to live.
I know. So just as we're kind of concluding, right, it's been brilliant having you, but so what I've took out of the day, right, is like we can only do what we can only do. We can only take we get no control over the exterior. We can only fix ourselves,
Yeah.
and when we fix ourselves, synchronicity happens, and people are attracted to that aura
Yeah.
that you're giving off. Would you agree that there's parts, different spiritual stuff that is true, and there's like in different kind of religions and stuff, there is parts of that
There's truth in everything, but it's how it's been distorted.
Yeah.
aye,
So, but there is truth in everything. If you want to go and dissect
Aye.
it and look at it, but
Yeah.
then why
I
even
know.
waste the time? Just come back into your own heart.
aye. I
Answers
mean, you
are
could
in
look,
there.
you could read the Bible and basically
I have read the
justify-
Bible.
You could, I've read that. No,
It's the
you
most
could
boring
justify
read ever.
anything. You could
There's a lot of
literally.
contradictions in the Bible.
Oh, very. I mean, the worst story. I mean, the worst story. But the worst story was the one I seen when Sodom and Gomorrah, when Lot takes the angel down and he's like, oh, it's just mental, right? If you ever want to read it. But it's bonkers. But the point I'm trying to make is that you could read that book and justify any act or any way you're feeling or anything. Do you know what I mean? And I think that Jesus, because I've felt Jesus, I know
you
he's
will.
real. Like I
Yeah.
know he's real, and I know he's like there. And anybody that's on that path, please take it, because he's definitely real. But I just don't like the way some things have.
Yeah.
taken, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
that's
no,
another podcast.
Aye, I know, we'll get another one. So listen, just to kind of wrap up, right, I'll give you the last messages. So I know that you've got your own things going on and that, so is there anything that, like, the wee charity that you were talking about, anything like that, and just any message to see somebody that's struggling out there that maybe is looking for a spiritual connection, just a wee message for anybody, just leave you with that. I'll leave you with the last messages.
Want me to go?
Go for
Will
it.
you let
You
shit
go
come
for
through? I think everything we've said is probably making people question things they're already doing as well, and like that, meditation, religion, even Reiki and things like that, they are sometimes steps that people need to step on. I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't been through all these stages. What we're saying now is we've done those things, and now doing what we're doing, we see how much of a difference, which you can vouch for as well, that actually just working on yourself without any of that stuff can make. So it is just all going to come back to you and how you're feeling and admitting to those feelings, and being allowed to be in that, or allowing yourself to be in that vulnerable space. Yeah.
And feel comfortable in that vulnerability, isn't it? No, thanks, Toni. What about you, LG, to wrap up?
I think the only thing I've got is a message for everybody. There is nothing wrong with you. No matter what the voices in your head say, what they tell you, that there's nothing wrong with you. This is what people need to speak a bit more, is all the stuff like hearing the voices and this and that, and everybody gets it. Everybody feels shit. We all have shame. There's nothing wrong with you, and it's not your fault.
Aye. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Honestly, I'll get you on another. I'm sure we'll get you on again at some other point to talk about some other stuff. But thank you very much for coming on.
For having
It's
us.
been brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.